All right, welcome to NFL Nexus. You know how the NFL offseason is, right? It's just this total whirlwind of activity. You've got signings, trades, huge contracts flying around everywhere. And honestly, most of the time, it just looks like pure chaos. But if you look really close at what the Indianapolis Colts have been up to, it starts to look less like random moves and a whole lot more like a really carefully designed, interconnected plan. Seriously, every single move, from the smallest signing to the biggest contract, seems to serve a single, kind of surprising purpose.
So, on the surface, you look at what they did, and it might seem, well, a little disjointed, maybe even contradictory. I mean, they traded away a really reliable, high-volume receiver, then turned around and paid another guy a massive, franchise-altering contract, and then, kind of quietly, almost under the radar, they started loading up their roster with defensive linemen. So you gotta ask, how do these pieces even fit together? What's the common thread here? What links a run-stuffing defensive tackle to a deep-threat wide receiver? Well, today, we're going to connect those dots. We're going to uncover the master plan that shows how every single one of these moves is designed to do one thing: build the absolute perfect environment for their young quarterback to succeed.
So, to really understand the Colts' grand design here, our first clue isn't with those flashy offensive moves, the ones that grab all the headlines. Nope, we have to go deep into the trenches, on the defensive side of the ball. I know it sounds a little counterintuitive, but trust me, this is the foundation. This is what their entire offseason strategy is built on. It all starts right here, with stopping the run. Now, the first question any Colts fan, or really any NFL analyst for that matter, is probably asking is why this position? Why the D tackles? I mean, Indianapolis already has two certified studs in the middle of their D-line with DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart. These guys are the heart and soul of that front seven, perennial Pro Bowl level talents. So if you already have your pillars in place, what's with all the new faces? Why are you investing more resources in a position that already looks like a huge strength? Well, the answer isn't about who they have, it's about what happened when those two guys weren't on the field. The Colts found a critical, game-losing weakness from last season. You know, this quote right here, it just highlights the core problem in plain English. It's so simple. Just think about it from the perspective of an opposing offensive coordinator. You're up in the booth, you're on the headset, watching the personnel change. You see number 99, DeForest Buckner, or number 90, Grover Stewart, trot over to the sideline for a quick breather. What do? It's an automatic check at the line of scrimmage. You immediately attack the backups with a run play, right up the gut. It became this glaring weak point, a flashing red light that every single opponent started to exploit. The drop-off from the starters to the reserves wasn't just noticeable, it was a total chasm.
And this slide right here, it just brilliantly illustrates the dramatic change in their whole philosophy. Look at the left side. That was the situation last season. The depth guys were Raekwon Davis and Taven Bryan, and the source material describes them perfectly as a revolving door in run defense. And honestly, they were often a liability more than they were a help. Now just look over at the column on the right. This isn't just patching a hole, okay? This is building a fortress. With guys like Naughty, Clemens, and Wooden, they didn't just fix a problem, they replaced a massive liability with a solid wall of experienced, proven veterans.
So the crucial point here is understanding what these new players are actually here to do. This is all about one thing: raising the floor of the entire unit. See, the Colts aren't asking Derek Naughty or Mikael Clemens to come in and be DeForest Buckner. That's not the plan. They're asking them to come in and make sure that when Buckner takes a play off, the defense doesn't immediately become vulnerable to a 6-yard run right up the middle. This lets your stars stay fresher for the fourth quarter. It lets your defensive coordinator keep his game plan without having to worry about a massive talent drop-off. They're here to fill a very specific, very strategic role.
In the names they brought in, well, they tell the story. The headliner here is obviously Derek Naughty. This isn't just some journeyman they picked up. The man is a 3-time Super Bowl champion from the Kansas City Chiefs. He's played in 130 career games with 98 starts. He knows what it takes to win in the trenches when it matters, in January. Then you add Michael Clemens, who's described as an enforcer from the Jets, a real high-motor guy known for his toughness. And finally, Colby Wooden, who they got in that Zaire Franklin trade, a younger player with some real upside. Now look, this isn't about splashy stats. Naughty's career numbers, 249 tackles, 5 sacks, they're solid, but not spectacular. This is about bringing in tough, reliable, championship-level experience and attitude to that locker room.
Okay, so let's flip over to the other side of the ball and see how this all starts to connect. Because while the Colts were quietly fortifying their defensive interior, they were making much louder, much more headline-grabbing changes to their passing game.
So this was the move that sent some serious shockwaves through the fan base. It was a pretty significant shakeup. The team traded away the guy many people consider their top receiver, the super reliable Michael Pittman Jr., a player known for his toughness and great hands, sending him off to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And in his place, they didn't just promote Alec Pierce from within. No. They placed a massive bet on him. They made him a cornerstone of the entire offense for years to come. This wasn't just a simple personnel swap. This was a bold, decisive pivot in their whole offensive philosophy.
So you have to ask yourself, why would the Colts have this much confidence in Pierce? Why make him the guy over a proven commodity like Michael Pittman? Well, this number right here is the key. 21.3. That was Alec Pierce's average yards per catch last season. For 2 straight years now, he's averaged over 20 yards a reception. That is an absolutely elite number. He's not just a receiver. He is one of the most dangerous and lethal deep threats in the entire league. Where Pittman was the chain mover, the possession guy, Pierce is the home run hitter. This wasn't some random decision. It was a conscious choice to prioritize explosive, game-changing plays.
And you know what? That commitment was a two-way street. Pierce felt it from the front office, from the coaching staff. He said they kept telling him, "We're not going to let you get out of Indy. We want you to be a Colt." I mean, when an organization makes it that crystal clear that you are their guy, that you're a foundational piece of what they're building for the future, it makes the decision pretty simple for a player, right? It builds this level of trust and loyalty that goes way beyond just the contract. It wasn't just about the money. It was about the belief they showed in him.
And believe me, the Colts certainly backed up that belief with their checkbook. A 4-year, $116 million contract. That is a massive investment. It signals a fundamental shift in their offensive identity, and it officially anoints Alec Pierce as the man in their receiving core. Now, the trade of Michael Pittman Jr. makes perfect sense, doesn't it? You don't make that move unless you're absolutely prepared to give this kind of deal to the guy you're keeping. This contract locks in their entire offensive strategy for the foreseeable future.
So now we've got these two threads that seem totally separate. On one hand, the Colts spend their time and their money reinforcing the interior of their defensive line. On the other hand, they completely reshape their passing attack around a new number 1 receiver. But how in the world do those two things connect? How does signing Derek Nottie, a run-stuffing defensive tackle, help Alec Pierce score more touchdowns?
And this is where the true genius of Chris Ballard's plan really reveals itself. Those moves on defense, the ones that didn't grab the national headlines, they have a direct and incredibly powerful impact on their plans for the offense. They are not separate strategies at all. They are two halves of the exact same whole. One move directly enables the other in a way that gives the Colts a massive strategic advantage.
It's really a brilliant, multi-step strategic trade-off. Let's just walk through it. So, step 1, they identified the problem. Their run defense fell off a cliff when the starters were out. This was a non-negotiable weakness, something that was actually losing them games. Step 2, they used free agency dollars, which is a resource they had, to sign proven, reliable veterans like Nottie to solve that specific problem. Now here's where the magic happens. Step 3, by fixing that need with money, they completely eliminated the necessity to use a high draft pick on a defensive tackle. They didn't have to spend a first or second round pick on that position anymore. And that leads to the final payoff. Step 4, that valuable draft capital, which is any team's most precious asset, is now totally freed up. It can be reallocated to go get more offensive weapons, another receiver, an offensive lineman, a dynamic tight end, all to help out their newly paid star, Alec Pierce, and of course, their young quarterback. They basically used cash to create draft flexibility, turning money into players at other, more pressing positions of need.
So, the foundation of the plan is set. The blueprint is crystal clear. The Colts have addressed a huge weakness, they've committed to a new offensive identity, and they masterfully created flexibility for the future. But the house isn't built yet. The work is not done. The source material is very clear that several holes still remain, particularly on that defensive side of the ball. They still have some pretty significant needs at edge rusher to create more pressure on opposing quarterbacks, at linebacker to add more speed and coverage ability, and at safety to really shore up the back end of the defense. And the articles point out that you can't just address all of those needs and expect to get day 1 starters from the draft. There are definitely still more moves to be made. Now, as the Colts front office gets back to their draft board, we've actually got something to help you and your family have a little fun during the offseason. You can help support the channel by purchasing our NFL Nexus coloring books. They're perfect for kids, grandkids, and hey, even adults who want to relax and color in their favorite team's logo. You can find them using the link right there in the description or by scanning the QR code on your screen right now.
So the crucial point here is that while the blueprint is clear, the final masterpiece is still taking shape. The strategy of using free agency to create draft flexibility has put them in a fantastic position, no doubt. But the next move, whether it's a surprise pick in the draft or another savvy veteran signing, that could be the one that defines their entire season. It could be the move that turns this really well-constructed plan into a legitimate championship reality. So what do you think that move should be? Let us know down in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, do me a favor and hit that like button and make sure you subscribe to NFL Nexus for more deep dives just like this all season long. Thanks for watching.